My old friend, Dr. Robert Evans, collapsed. For as long as I'd known him, he'd been a man who ran on fumes. A brilliant physician who treated his own need for rest as a mere suggestion. He'd told me for years, "Arthur, I just can't stay asleep." San, 00 a.m. comes around, and my eyes just pop open. It's like a switch flips. I'd warned him, but we doctors are often the worst patients. The chronic sleep deprivation finally caught up. A severely compromised immune system was the official diagnosis, but I knew the real cause. It was the slow, insidious erosion of years of sleepless nights. That day, seeing him in a hospital bed in the emergency room, I was shaken to my core. And, as a doctor, I've seen my share of hardship, but this was different. This was my friend. His face, usually so full of life and intellectual fire, looked as though it had aged a decade in a single day. The vitality was gone, replaced by a pale, hollowed-out exhaustion. It was a profound shock, a visceral reminder of a truth I had dedicated my life to understanding. In that moment, it became clearer than ever. Sleep is not merely a rest to recover from fatigue. It is not a luxury. It is a fundamental, non-negotiable pillar of our very existence. As critical as the air we breathe and the water we drink, it is inextricably linked to our life force. The anguish of not being able to sleep. How long have you been living with it? If you feel that you cannot fall asleep for even a moment without the aid of a pill, then it is time to free yourself from that struggle. There are methods, truths that hospitals and pharmaceutical companies will never be the first to tell you because they are not found in a bottle. There is a way to sleep soundly, healthfully, without medication. And that is precisely what I am here to share with you today. Perhaps you've had a moment like my friend's, a moment where your body finally sent you a bill for all those stolen hours of rest. Or maybe it's a kid or struggle, a nightly dread of the tossing and turning to come. Hello, my name is Dr. Arthur Miller, and I am 82 years old. For over 4 decades, I had the privilege of serving as the head of the sleep clinic at a major university hospital. Many people assume that by my age, one is a regular visitor to doctors' offices and pharmacies, but I can tell you, with gratitude, that my days are full of vigor. I still wake each morning with the sun, hike the small mountain behind my home, and tend to the garden I've cultivated with my own hands, harvesting fresh vegetables for my meals. My days are active and filled with purpose. If you wonder how it's possible to maintain this level of health at my age, I will tell you that the single most important secret, the bedrock of my well-being, is sleep. Over the decades, I have witnessed the silent suffering of countless patients. I've seen the desperation in their eyes, the fatigue etched into their faces, and through it all, I came to a profound realization. Sleep is the wellspring of both physical and mental health. In my 40-year career, I met thousands of patients, and I heard the same refrain more times than I can count. "Doctor, I just can't sleep without my pills. It's impossible." Every time I heard those words, it pained me, not because they were wrong, but because, for the vast majority of them, they were mistaken. Their bodies had not forgotten how to sleep. They possessed the innate, God-given ability to find restorative rest. They had just lost the path to get there, and medication had become a detour that, for many, led them further into the woods. Today, I want to share with you the secrets that have helped so many of my elderly patients reduce their reliance on sleeping pills and, in many cases, eliminate them entirely, finally rediscovering the peace of a natural night's sleep. These secrets are not dramatic new treatments or expensive prescriptions. Their power lies in their simplicity. They begin with small, fundamental practices in your diet, your daily habits, and, most importantly, your mindset. This is a journey, and I encourage you to stay with me until the end to understand the full picture. Before we begin our discussion on health, I ask that you take a moment to subscribe and press the like button. It helps this message reach others who may be suffering, and I'd be genuinely curious to know, where are you watching this from? Please leave a comment and tell me where in the world you are. I am sending you my heartfelt wishes for your healthy sleep. So, where do we begin to unravel this complex problem of sleeplessness? Calm the nerves with the 4-7-8 breathing method. The first step is not to force sleep, but to invite it. We begin by calming the nervous system. The 4-7-8 breathing method, developed by Dr. Andrew Weil at Harvard University, is a remarkably powerful tool for this. It is, in essence, a tranquilizer for the nervous system, and it can induce a state of relaxation in as little as 60 seconds. The technique is simple. You breathe in gently through your nose for a count of 4. You then hold your breath for a count of 7. Finally, you exhale completely and audibly through your mouth for a count of 8. This single cycle is a potent signal to your body. Here's why it works. Our bodies have two opposing branches of the autonomic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system is our fight or flight response. It's what gets us ready for action, pumping adrenaline, tensing muscles, and sharpening our focus. The parasympathetic nervous system is its counterpart, the rest and digest system. It's responsible for calm, recovery, and healing. In our modern, high-stress world, most of us are living in a state of chronic sympathetic overdrive. The 4-7-8 breath is a conscious intervention that breaks this cycle. The prolonged exhale, in particular, stimulates the vagus nerve, which is the main highway of the parasympathetic system, activating this calming response and guiding your body and brain into a state of deep tranquility. Scientific studies have confirmed this, showing that deep, diaphragmatic breathing techniques like this one are highly effective at lowering cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone. A great advantage of this practice is its accessibility. You can do it anywhere, anytime, without any special equipment. I remember Mrs. Eleanor Vance, a lovely 75-year-old woman who came to my clinic. She told me, with a weary sigh, "Dr. Miller, I've been on sleeping pills every single night for the last 10 years. I can't imagine a night without them." She was skeptical when I first taught her this breathing technique. "It just feels like breathing," she said. "How can that possibly replace my medication? Just try it." "Eleanor," I urged, "give it 3 days." She called me a week later, her voice brighter than I'd ever heard it. "Doctor, it's the strangest thing. The first 2 nights, it felt a bit awkward. But on the 3rd night, I was doing the breathing, and my eyelids just felt so heavy. They closed on their own. I slept for 4 straight hours before waking up, and I didn't even take my pill beforehand." Within 2 weeks of practicing this method consistently, Mrs. Vance had cut her use of sleeping medication down to 3 times a week. When I saw her for her follow-up appointment, I saw a sparkle in her eyes, a vitality that had been absent for a long time. It was in those moments that I felt the deepest sense of reward as a physician. Now, a word of caution. When you first try this, holding your breath for 7 seconds might feel uncomfortable or even a little stressful. Please, do not worry. This is not a test of endurance. Start where you are comfortable. Begin by holding for 3 seconds. Then gradually work your way up to 5. Then 6. The most important element is not the duration but the rhythm. The 4, C, and 8 are ratios. The key is to establish a consistent, calming breathing pattern that lengthens the exhale. Practice this not only before bed but also during the day whenever you feel a wave of stress or anxiety. Some of my patients have reported that regular practice has even reduced their daytime anxiety attacks. A few important points. Do not breathe too quickly or force yourself to hold your breath for too long. The goal is to maintain a comfortable, natural rhythm. If you have a pre-existing heart or respiratory condition, I strongly advise you to consult with your personal physician before trying this technique. Remember, this breathing method is a powerful supportive tool, but for severe, chronic sleep disorders, it should be part of a comprehensive approach that may require medical diagnosis and care. R. Release physical tension with progressive muscle relaxation. Sleep begins in the body first, not the mind. This is a crucial concept. Your brain can scream commands to sleep now, all night long, but if your body is locked in a state of tension, sleep will remain elusive. As we age, our muscles tend to hold more residual tension, which makes this method particularly effective for seniors. When our muscles relax, truly and deeply, Our brain receives a powerful signal that it is safe to downshift. In response, it begins to secrete neurotransmitters that promote sleep, like GABA and serotonin. This is not just a psychological trick. It is a well-documented neurochemical fact. For many older adults, tension congregates in the neck, shoulders, and lower back. By focusing on releasing these specific areas, the effect can be even more pronounced. Let me tell you about Mr. Samuel Peterson. At 78, he had been taking sleeping pills every single night for over 20 years. He was a retired accountant, a man of routine and precision, and his inability to control his own sleep was a source of immense frustration for him. When I introduced him to progressive muscle relaxation, he scoffed. On exercise. In bed. Doctor, I'm trying to rest, not work out. But he was a diligent man, and he agreed to try it. 2 months later, he sat in my office with a small, proud smile. He had successfully cut his sleeping pill dosage in half. You were right, Arthur, he admitted. At first, it just felt silly and tedious, but I stuck with it. Now, I can feel my body getting ready for sleep. It's like it knows what's coming. It's a feeling I haven't had in decades. For those who find that sleeping pills have lost their effectiveness, this simple routine, practiced just 3 or 4 times, can create a warmth and heaviness in the body that allows sleep to arrive effortlessly. Here is how you do it. While lying comfortably in bed, start with your toes. Curl them tightly, tensing the muscles in your feet. Hold that tension for a count of 5, really focusing on the sensation. Then, release the tension completely and abruptly. Notice the difference. Feel the warmth and heaviness that floods the muscles as they relax. Stay with that feeling of release for 10 to 15 seconds. Now, move up your body. Tense your calf muscles. Hold and release. Tense your thigh muscles. Hold and release. Clench your abdomen and buttocks. Hold and release. Arch your back slightly, tensing the muscles there. Hold and release. Tense your chest and shoulders, pulling your shoulder blades together. Hold and release. Tense your arms and clench your fists. Hold and release. Finally, move to your face. Tense your jaw, squint your eyes, and furrow your brow. Hold and release. Allow your jaw to hang slack and your forehead to become smooth and peaceful. As a variation on this principle, consider the relationship between body temperature and sleep. Taking a warm bath or shower an hour or 2 before bed can be very effective. This raises your core body temperature slightly. When you get out and move to a cooler bedroom, your body temperature will begin to fall. This gradual drop in temperature is a powerful natural signal to the brain to initiate sleep. A few guidelines for this practice. Do not tense your muscles so hard that you cause pain or cramping. The goal is a noticeable tension, not a strain. The most important part of the exercise is the release. Concentrate fully on the sensation of letting go, of the muscles becoming limp and heavy. If you have arthritis or chronic muscle pain, please consult with a professional before attempting this, as you may need to modify the exercises. And if you take a warm bath, be careful that your body temperature doesn't drop too rapidly. Maintain a comfortable room temperature to avoid getting a chill. San. Find mental peace with a brain dump and positive affirmations. How many of you experience this? The moment the lights go out and your head hits the pillow, your mind suddenly springs to life. The thoughts begin to race, replaying events from the day, worrying about tomorrow, and dredging up memories from decades past. Whenever a patient described this to me, my heart went out to them. This is an incredibly common experience, especially for older adults. The regrets of youth, the anxieties of the present, and the fears of the future can all feel much more vivid and overwhelming in the silence of the night. There is a biological reason for this. During the day, our brains are busy processing a constant stream of external stimuli, sights, sounds, conversations. But at night, when those external inputs cease, the brain turns inward. It begins its work of sorting, processing, and consolidating the day's events. It's a natural and necessary function. But when we are anxious, it can feel like an uncontrollable mental storm. When my patients describe this racing mind syndrome, I would recommend two simple yet profound practices. I recall Mrs. Glada Hemmings, a 72-year-old retired teacher. She told me, "Dr. Miller, every night, it's like a movie starts playing in my head. All the things I wish I'd done differently. All the things I have to do tomorrow. Before I know it, the sun is coming up." Another patient of mine discovered a different approach. He told me, "I started repeating a simple phrase to myself every night. Thank you for this day. I'd say it 10 times. I don't know why, but I found that by the time I finished, my mind was quiet. The next thing I knew, it was morning." This isn't just wishful thinking. A research team at the University of Pennsylvania found that even a 5-minute practice of repeating a simple bezered, neutral phrase before bed reduced the time it took to fall asleep by an average of 15 minutes. Here are the two practices I recommend. First, about 30 minutes before you intend to sleep, sit down with a simple notebook and a pen. Open it and write down everything that is on your mind. Create a list of things to do tomorrow. Write down your worries, your frustrations, the nagging thoughts that are circling in your head. Just get them out. The physical act of transferring these thoughts from your mind to the paper is a powerful symbolic release. When you place that notebook by your bedside, you are telling your brain, "These issues have been recorded. They will be dealt with tomorrow. They do not need to be processed right now." In fact, psychiatric research shows that this act of expressive writing can increase activity in the brain's emotional regulation centers while decreasing activity in the amygdala, the brain's fear and anxiety center. Second, once you are in bed, choose a short, simple, positive phrase to repeat silently to yourself. It could be something like, "I am resting now," or "It is okay. I am at peace." The rhythm and repetition give your mind something simple to hold on to, preventing it from spiraling into complex and anxious thought patterns. When you are writing in your journal, it is crucial that you do so without judgment. Let the thoughts flow freely. No matter how trivial or stressful they seem, the goal is not to solve the problems, but simply to externalize them. When choosing your repetitive phrase, make sure it is simple and affirmative. A complex or negatively worded phrase gee, I will not worry about my health can inadvertently activate the very thoughts you are trying to calm. While this method is highly effective for reducing anxiety, if your insomnia is accompanied by severe mental health challenges like depression or PTSD, it is essential to seek the guidance of a qualified mental health professional. Harness the power of short naps and gentle eye movements. There is a common misconception among older adults that napping during the day will inevitably ruin their sleep at night. In reality, a properly managed nap can be a friend to your nighttime sleep. The key is that napping is not inherently bad. It's all about the timing and duration. A short nap, taken no later than 3:00 p.m. and limited to 20 minutes, is ideal. Even just closing your eyes for 15 minutes without falling asleep can have a restorative effect on the brain. To understand why, we need to talk about sleep pressure. Think of it like a reservoir. From the moment you wake up in the morning, your body begins to produce a neurochemical called adenosine, which gradually builds up throughout the day. This buildup of adenosine creates sleep pressure for you to fall asleep easily and sleep deeply at night. This pressure needs to be sufficiently high. A long nap in the late afternoon releases too much of this pressure, leaving you with not enough to fall asleep at your desired bedtime. However, a short, early afternoon nap can take the edge off your fatigue without significantly depleting your sleep pressure, actually helping you function better for the rest of the day and still be ready for bed at night. In fact, a famous NASA study found that a 26-minute nap improved cognitive performance in pilots by 34%. Another simple but remarkably effective technique involves gentle eye movements. While lying in bed with your eyes closed, slowly and gently move your eyes from left to right, as if you are watching a slow-motion pendulum. Mr. Henry Gable, a 76-year-old former salesman, was amazed by this. "Doctor, I thought you were crazy when you told me to just move my eyes," he said, laughing. "But I did it, and the thoughts just stopped. It was like my brain couldn't think and move my eyes at the same time. The next thing I knew, I was asleep. I never would have believed such a simple thing could be so powerful. Before learning this technique, Mr. Gable would toss and turn for 2 to 3 hours every night. Now, he reports that he is typically asleep within 10 minutes. His experience has a scientific explanation. The side-to-side movement of the eyes encourages what is known as bilateral stimulation. This alternating activation of the left and right hemispheres of the brain helps to calm the nervous system and can shift brainwave patterns from the active beta state to the more relaxed alpha state, which is the precursor to sleep. This technique is adapted from a psychotherapeutic method known as eye movement desensitization and reprocessing EMDR, which is used to help people process trauma and reduce anxiety. Some practical advice. For naps, it is essential to set an alarm to ensure you don't exceed 20 minutes. Avoid napping late in the afternoon or evening at all costs. For the eye movement exercise, the key is to be slow and gentle. Think of it as a form of meditation. The movement should be comfortable and natural, not forced or rapid, as this could cause eye strain. Woo. Create a gentle bedtime routine to signal sleep mode. Our bodies are creatures of habit. Within each of us is a master biological clock known as the circadian rhythm. This internal clock thrives on consistency. When you perform the same sequence of calming activities at the same time each night, your body learns to recognize these cues. It begins to anticipate sleep and starts the physiological processes that lead to it. The goal of a bedtime routine is to gently guide the body and mind into sleep mode. One key mechanism is the regulation of body temperature, which we touched on earlier. Another is the hormone melatonin. Melatonin production is highly sensitive to light. The blue light emitted from televisions, smartphones, and computer screens is particularly disruptive, as it effectively tells the brain that it is still daytime, suppressing melatonin release. In contrast, warmer, dimmer light, like that from a yellow or amber-hued lamp, is far less disruptive to this natural process. Furthermore, certain scents, like lavender, have been proven in multiple studies to have a calming effect on the nervous system. I'll never forget the case of Mrs. Beatrice Cole. At 69, she had been dependent on sleeping pills for over 2 decades, and her dosage had steadily increased over the years. When she first came to see me, her eyes were filled with a mixture of worry and fear. She would lie awake at night, not only suffering from insomnia, but also consumed by anxiety about her dependency on the medication. What if this is causing dementia? She would ask me, her voice trembling, what if I become completely reliant on these pills? I said to her, Beatrice, starting tonight, let's create a gentle routine for you. Think of it like singing a lullaby to a child. Adults need their own rituals to feel safe and ready for sleep. She was skeptical, but she was also desperate. She agreed to try. 1 month later, she returned to my office, and she was a different woman. A genuine smile lit up her face. Doctor, I've cut my pills in half, she said, and I'm not afraid anymore. Even if I don't fall asleep right away, I know I can rest peacefully. Seeing the hope return to her face was one of the great joys of my career. Her routine was simple but effective. An hour before bed, she would have a 10-minute warm foot bath. She would add a single drop of lavender oil to a small towel and place it near her pillow. 30 minutes before bed, she would turn off the television and switch on a small lamp with a warm, yellow bulb, reading a few pages from a light novel. Each of these elements worked together, creating a powerful, multi-sensory signal to her body and mind that the day was ending and it was time to prepare for rest. A few key points for creating your own routine. Consistency is paramount. Try to perform your routine at the same time every night. For a foot bath, use comfortably warm water, not hot water, which can be overly stimulating. Use only a small amount of lavender oil and avoid direct contact with the skin. It goes without saying, but avoid caffeine and alcohol in the hours leading up to bedtime. If you must use a screen, consider using blue light blocking apps or glasses. Look, welcome sleep as a guest, not a battle. This may be the most important lesson of all. I used to tell my patients, sleep is a guest. You cannot command a guest to arrive. You can only prepare the house. Make it comfortable and inviting. and then wait patiently for them to show up. Sleep is not a war. It is not something you can conquer through force of will. In fact, the harder you try to fall asleep, the more you fight it, the more elusive it becomes. The very act of trying creates performance anxiety, which activates your sympathetic nervous system and pushes sleep further away. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is to give yourself permission to not sleep, simply telling yourself, "It's okay if I don't fall asleep right away. My body is resting, and that is what matters," can be incredibly liberating. This removes the pressure and allows your mind to relax. The fear of not sleeping is often a more significant cause of insomnia than any other factor. Mr. Walter Finch, at 82, had struggled with sleep for as long as he could remember. He had tried every medication, every therapy, but nothing seemed to give him consistent relief. One day, I asked him a simple question. "Walter, what do you think about when you can't sleep?" He thought for a moment and replied, "I get scared. I start thinking, how am I going to get through tomorrow on no sleep?" The fear just builds and builds. That was the key. It was the fear itself that was keeping him awake. I suggested a new approach. "Tonight, Walter," I said, "I want you to tell yourself this. Whether I sleep or not, the sun will still rise tomorrow. A new day will begin. It's okay if I don't sleep."